Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful week like always. Today I am continuing with my Bjork discography journey, and we have made it to her 7th studio album from 2011 called Biophilia. Now I actually have no idea what Biophilia is, so I had to look it up. It says here that the biophilia hypothesis, is the idea that humans possess an innate tendency to see connections with nature and other forms of life. Now, it does say here that Björk composed Biophilia as a concept album during the 2008 and 2011 Icelandic financial crisis, exploring the links between nature, music, and technology. Just like any other Björk album I've listened to, I don't really know what to expect. I'm excited, but I'm nervous at the same time. There are 13 tracks. I don't recall hearing any of these songs before. And the album is 1 hour and 4 minutes. So you know what? Enough talking. Let's just jump into the first track. Track number 1, Moon.
As the lukewarm hands of the gods with their saliva rusted, as if the healthy years passed and once again be reborn. Is the
Alrighty, that was track number 1, Moon. Wow. That was beauty. That was beauty. The harp. Wow. This was a gorgeous track. I loved, obviously, the harp, the production, her vocals. I liked the harmonies as well. And the lyrics also were absolutely beautiful to read. I really enjoyed this track. As the lukewarm hands of the gods came down and gently picked my adrenaline pearls, they placed them in their mouths and rinsed all the fear out. And then she goes on to say, and once again be reborn, all birthed and happy. Best way to start anew is to fail miserably. It does say here that each song on the album features a theme related to nature. In Moon, Björk explores the lunar cycles and the effect they have on Earth. Okay. There was something very spa-like about this song. It was very therapeutic and it was very pleasant to listen to. I would definitely listen to this track again. It's just, I have no words, honestly. I have no words. This was a great way to open the album. I wasn't really expecting it, but that's what I love about Björk. You never really know what to expect going into a Björk album when it comes to the production and the concept and what she's going to be singing about. I really liked it. I really do like it when she says, all birthed and happy, best way to start anew is to fail miserably. Fail at loving and fail at giving. So I feel like what she also might be singing about is how, for some people, a lot of people, they start anew, they start their lives over when something traumatic happens or something dramatic. Something really horrible or something significant happens in someone's life that causes them to reevaluate their life and what they want to do, where they want to go. So maybe the loss of a loved one, or maybe losing a job, or being in a horrible accident, a life-threatening accident. I don't know. I feel like she also might be singing about that. It's like the phases of the moon, how you're progressing through the phases and then you get to the end, but then you have to start over again and do it all over again. I don't know. Jesus, this is like a science lesson. I feel like I'm back in school. This is what happens when I do these videos. I do research and I'm learning about the mood phases, and I'm on the Wikipedia page, and it's very interesting. The different mood phases are new mood, waxing crescent, which in my opinion is the most beautiful. It's like, it reminds me of Sailor Moon. It's my favorite mood phase of all of them, I think. That one, and obviously the full mood. The werewolf mood, I like to call it. I'm just so fascinated now about the mood. I've always been fascinated with outer space and the galaxy and planets. But anyway, let's move on to track number 2, Thunderbolt.
Staring at water's edge, cold frost. No one imagines from whose hands deeply humble. Can I, or have I too often? Too often.
Okay, that was track number 2, Thunderbolt, and this was another song I enjoyed. There's something very foreboding about it, production-wise, and I loved the instruments on this track, just like track number 1. I mean, we're only 2 tracks in, and I'm really enjoying this album. I really love the concept. That really sparked my interest. And also the production. I really like the lyrics. There's something about this album that's really connecting with me. However, I will say I have no idea what she's singing about. My romantic gene is dominant and it hungers for union, universal intimacy, all embracing. May I, should I? Or have I too often craved miracles? And then she goes on to say, waves irregularly striking, wind stirred in my face, thunderstorm come, scrape those barnacles off me. I will say, there were times when I was listening to the song that I could actually hear waves of the ocean, of water. As I was listening to the track, I was projecting myself out onto the ocean, and there was a storm and thunder clouds and just lightning, and it really did set the tone and mood for what I was experiencing as I was listening to the production, reading the lyrics. So it was a very interesting experience listening to this song. It does look like she's craving some sort of relationship. My romantic gene is dominant and it hungers for union, universal intimacy, all embracing. So her romantic gene is dominant, her love is dominant, and she perhaps just wants to share her love with someone else, with the world, because that's who she is. It's dominant, and she hungers for union. She hungers for the intimacy of someone else, to come together with someone else, for people to come together, all embracing. May I, should I, or have I too often craved miracles? So maybe this is a miracle that she craves, this love and intimacy, but the waves are irregularly striking, and the wind is stirred in her face, and there's a thunderstorm. So maybe there's some sort of connection between the thunderstorm that's surrounding her and her want for this love, this hunger for union and universal intimacy. People are saying that the song is about her want for a second chance for love. She's been reawakened and now feels unrestrained, perhaps emotionally. I just love the incorporation of nature into these tracks, like Moon and Thunderbolt, and this album has really resonated with me. I'm really enjoyed it. So now let's move on to track number 3, Crystalline.
Underneath our feet, crystals grow like plants. Listen, nebula, crystalline rocks growing stronger. Crystalline. Of the ones we love, which is so quartz, crystalline, internal nebula, crystalline. It's the spark.
Oh my god. That ending! Oh my god. That was very interesting. Track number 3, Crystalline. And I mean, I've said it already, but this is a very beautiful album, production-wise and lyrically. And I'm loving it. I like it. And this track is no exception. This is another great track. Björk literally went all dubstep at the end there, which I've never heard from her before. And it was very interesting. Now, I guess the proper name for what I listened to at the very end of this song is called breakcore. And it's a style of electronic dance music that emerged out of jungle, hardcore, and drum and bass in the mid to late 1990s. This is another track where I did hear the waves of the ocean once again. Crystals grow like plants, listen how they grow. I'm blinded by the lights, listen how they grow in the core of the earth. Crystalline. So obviously she's singing about these crystals that are growing in a cave somewhere or underground, and they demand the light. We mimic the openness of the warmth we love. Equalize the flow with our hearts we kiss all quartz to reach love, crystalline. The lyrics to Crystalline talk about the process of crystallization in minerals and rocks, but taking a more personal point of view, relating the growth of a crystal structure with the growth of relationships in people's hearts. So the growth of these crystal structures are reaching out for the light, and that is a metaphor for relationships and how we are trying to grow within our own relationships, and we're trying to make them as best we can, reaching out for the light, trying to get away from the claustrophobia, being confined and anxious and just uneasy within a relationship, uncomfortable, and we just want to kind of spread out, grow, be free, and reach out for the light in a relationship. Okay. Can I just say that it's also snowing right now? It looks absolutely beautiful. It's definitely setting the mood for this album. It's so gorgeous, honestly. So let's move on to track number 4, Cosmogony, which is any model concerning the origin of either the cosmos or the universe.
Heaven's bodies. Our universe was an empty sea. Heaven,
Okay, that was track number 4, Cosmogony, and honestly, one of the most beautiful Björk songs I've ever listened to. Not just this track though, but this album so far is one of the most beautiful Björk albums I've ever listened to. And she is essentially, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. She's talking about the universe and the birth of the universe. And they say back then our universe was an endless land until our ancestors woke up, and before they went back to sleep, they carved it all into the world we knew. And they say back then our universe wasn't even there until a sudden bang, and then there was light, was sound, was matter, and it all became the world we knew. They say back then our universe was an empty sea until a silver fox and her cunning mate began to sing a song that became the world we know. I love shit like this. There are times when I'm listening to these songs, I just feel like I'm floating in space and, I don't know, something that comes to mind is Interstellar, the movie with Matthew McConaughey, which is honestly one of my favorite movies, and I was obsessed with that movie when it came out. I just love stuff like this. And they say back then our universe was a cold black egg until the god inside burst out, and from its shattered shell, he made what became the world we know. In astronomy, cosmogony refers to the study of the origin of particular astrophysical objects or systems, and is most commonly used in reference to the origin of the universe, the solar system, or the Earth-Moon system. The prevalent cosmological model of the early development of the universe is the Big Bang Theory. Not the show, the theory, the actual theory. I'm just falling down a rabbit hole right now. The Big Bang is said to have occurred 13.8 billion years ago, which is thus considered the age of the universe. 13.8 billion years ago. Can I also say that I was getting a little bit emotional as I was listening to this song? The melody and the instruments, it was kind of bringing tears to my eyes. I don't know if you noticed, but I like this song. The cosmogony lyrics turn into a philosophic view based on several myths about the creation of the universe. In the first verse, she's telling us about the theory of creation from Miwok mythology. In this story, Silver Fox and Coyote created Earth by dancing and singing, as before there was only water. And then in the second verse, Björk references the myth of Pagu, which is Tao and origin. What Björk didn't mention was that Pagu's body parts became components of the world as we know after his death. His eyes became the sun and the moon, his muscles the earth, and so on and so forth. Oh wow, this is so fascinating. In the third verse, she gives us some insight into the dreaming, which forms the core of Australian Aboriginal culture. In this one, ancestral beings shaped the landscape from a formless land during an era known as the Dreamtime, which this is something I knew about when I was listening to Kate Bush's The Dreaming album. And the final verse is, of course, the conventional Big Bang model. I adore this song so much. I could honestly keep talking about it because I'm just so in love with it, but we do have to move on to track number 5, Dark Matter. Okay, that was track number 5, Dark Matter. I have no words, honestly. This was another track I really enjoyed, and ah, I don't really know what she was singing about on this track because Apple Music doesn't supply me with the lyrics for this song, so I had to look them up. And I tried listening to, like, I tried to understand what she was singing by not reading the lyrics. I was just trying to pick up on what she was singing. I still don't really know what she was singing about. I did look up the lyrics for Dark Matter online, so it looks like there are lyrics, but when she was singing them, I couldn't really follow along because what I'm reading isn't matching with what she's saying. So I don't know if she's singing in another language. I looked up the song on fandom.com, and under the category of lyrics, it says gibberish. So I thought maybe she was singing in a different language. Maybe she's just singing in gibberish. She's singing in her own Bjork language. I really don't know. I have no idea. Now, there is a description of the song Dark Matter, and it says that the song connects breath, the human soul, and the cosmos. Björk invokes these ideas in the track by using wordless vocals and organ, which are both air-driven instruments. Okay. Now, I did look up Dark Matter on Wikipedia because why the hell not? I already looked up the moon cycles and the Big Bang Theory and all these other things about the universe. So it says here that dark matter is a form of matter thought to account for approximately 85% of the matter in the universe. I'm definitely falling down a rabbit hole right now. Black holes and dark matter and the cosmos and all these theories, and there's just so much out there in the universe that we still don't know about. What if in other galaxies there are other Earth planets with human beings on them? And they have civilizations, and they have their own music, and they have their own histories and cities. Could you imagine if one day we're able to time travel to like centuries past? To like the 12th century or the Middle Ages or. Why am I thinking about. Oh my god. I had no idea. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I sat down to listen to Biophilia by Björk. Oh, this is such a unique experience. I've never had an experience like this recording one of these videos. I am just obsessed with this album. I don't know if you could tell. Anyway, let's move on to track number 6, Hollow. I feel like I'm listening to Fantasia. Okay, that was track number 6, Hollow, and I really enjoy the use of the organ on this album. We do hear it quite a bit on a lot of these tracks. It's one of those albums where I close my eyes and it's like I'm putting visuals to the music I'm listening to. So I'm kind of forming my own movie in my head as I listen to these songs. Hollow, my ancestors have access. Hollow, I'm falling down the abyss. Hollow, looking for some answers. Generations of mothers sailing in. Somehow they all were ship folks. And then she goes on to say, the ground is opening up, swallows me up, the trunk of DNA. Now come forth all species, like a bead in necklace, thread up upon this chin. So she is singing about obviously her ancestors, and how people have sailed over from other places on ships to the New World and new countries long ago. The trunk of DNA. Now come forth all species. Björk took inspiration from her ancestors and DNA, that the grounds open below you, and you can feel your mother, and her mother, and her mother, and her mother, 30,000 years back. So suddenly, you're in this kind of tunnel or trunk of DNA. All these ghosts come up. So it ended up being a Halloween song and quite gothic in a way. This song was quite spooky, I will say. It is quite haunting, especially after looking up the actual meaning of the song, and the harmonies are very ghostly on this track, and very interesting. So we are gonna move on to track number 7, Virus.
Like a virus needs a body. The urge is here. The perfect match, you and me. As gunpowder meets a war, I feast inside you. The perfect match, you and I. I'm waiting for you. I'm starving for you.
I do want to say that I do apologize for getting emotional right now. I'm not really crying because of the song, even though it's very beautiful. About an hour and a half ago, I talked to my mom on the phone with my sister. My sister actually called me and told me that my mom now has to be moved to a hospital. For the last few months, my sister has been taking care of my mom who has cancer, and now it's to the point where they had to bring a hospital bed into her house, and my mom can barely talk now, and it's now getting to the point where she is nearing the end of her life, and it's coming to the point now where she might only have a few more days to live. And about an hour and a half ago, I talked to my mom on the phone, and I pretty much said my goodbyes to her, which was so hard for me to do. And I thought maybe if I did this video, it kind of just distract me from what was happening. And I was doing really good so far, but I just started thinking about what I said to her in our conversation. It just kind of hit me. And tomorrow I'm actually going out with my sister to see my mom in the hospital. It's probably my last time I'm gonna see and talk to her, which is so hard for me to come to that realization. I almost don't even want to continue with this video, but I've made it this far, and I'm just gonna continue with it, honestly. And what really stood out for me was how, of course, I told her that I loved her, and she said, I know. And she could barely talk when she said it. And this wasn't something I wanted to talk about in this video. I really did think I could make it through the whole video without discussing this, but it's impossible at this point. I enjoyed the track. It was almost like a lullaby with the chimes, and it was very pleasant to listen to. Again, it was reminding me of a spa. It was very therapeutic to listen to. Like a virus needs a body as soft tissue feeds on blood. Someday I'll find you. The urge is here. Like a flame that seeks explosives as gunpowder needs a war, I feast inside of you. My host is you. I did find this song interesting just because the production is so pretty and beautiful. Yet when you read the lyrics, it's so malicious and violent and cruel how obviously this song is open to interpretation. You could read it as though it's an actual virus killing you from the inside out, or you could be using love as a metaphor for a virus, how the love is invading you and taking you over. Um, so I like the juxtaposition there between the pretty production and the strange lyrics of this virus invading a body. And now I'm thinking that perhaps reading about a virus is what really got me when it comes to me thinking about my mom, how her cancer has slowly destroyed her essentially from the inside out. The song is beautiful and full of love, but slowly destructive, killing you from the inside, even if you don't notice. Viruses are not alive, not dead. They need to hook up to a living host to suck the resources and reproduce. They need the host to survive. Love can also be very destructive. There is such a thing as toxic love, how you can be in a relationship with someone and you can love them, but the love is based on toxicity, and that love is what ultimately will destroy you. There's just so many emotions I'm experiencing as I listen to not just this song, but this entire album. But anyway, let's move on to track number 8, Sacrifice. Okay, that was track number 8, Sacrifice, and of course, I liked the song, but I won't lie, I'm not enjoying this part of the album as much as I was the first part, these last couple tracks, Virus and Sacrifice. I like reading the lyrics and the intention behind what she's singing about. I like the production, of course, but they're just not grabbing me as much as the first half of the album. Why this sacrifice? Now she regrets the whole thing. A delayed reaction when she left her craft voluntarily for the nest for your love. Did you understand? Appreciate. Build a bridge to her, initiate a touch before it's too late. Say the words to her that will make her shine. Tell her that you love her. Now, obviously, lyrically, I could really relate to this song, especially the part where she says, build a bridge to her, initiate a touch before it's too late. Say the words to her that will make her shine. Tell her that you love her. And I don't need to tell you why those lyrics are very special to me, especially right now in my life. Inspired by thinking about nature's design of the female of the species, Björk's lyrics for this song urge the listener to recognize the extent to which biology seems to compel females to sacrifice themselves. When she found your love, her nature bowed her head. She surrendered. For me, nature isn't only pretty or romantic. It is dramatic, creative, destructive. It has a lot of energy, and I tried to capture that in the songs on Biophilia. So it looks like this song is about females in general, women and mothers and sisters. And now that I know more about the song lyrically and the story behind it, I do like it more now. But still not one of my favorites from the album. But we are gonna move on to track number 9, Mutual Core.
I shuffle around the tectonic plates. You know I gave it all. A mutual call. You know I gave it all. To form a mutual call. This eruption and stagnation in you is the key to our continuity. This eruption and stagnation.
Okay, that was track number 9, Mutual Core, and this was, production-wise, I wasn't really expecting where this song led me, especially the parts where it was more dubstep, which I wasn't expecting. I know I keep saying dubstep, but the actual term is breakcore. It's the electronic dance music from the mid to late 1990s, breakcore. That was interesting. My favorite part of the song was when there was the breakcore. It was more electronic sounding. I shuffle around the tectonic plates in my chest. You know, I give it all. Try to match our continents, to change seasonal shift, to form a mutual core. So she is using the metaphor of tectonic plates, how perhaps her relationship with this person is drifting further apart or together. Now, tectonic plates does revolve around the hypothesis of the continental drift, and it's the hypothesis that the Earth's continents have moved over geologic time relative to each other, thus appearing to have drifted across the ocean bed. So the continents of the planets are drifting further and further away from each other over time. You didn't know I had it in me. You didn't know I had it in me. The song's lyrics are a metaphor for human relationships compared to the structure of the Earth and plate tectonics. It's just interesting how she combines things like the organ with electronic sounds, which is very interesting. It's not really something you ever hear, an organ with just electronic music. It's very interesting. So let's move on to track number 10, Solstice.
Was the third branch from the star, drawn into the darkness of hand, receiving radiance in the palm of hand.
Okay, that was track number 10, Solstice, and this was another beautiful track. It was reminding me of track number 1, Mood, with the harp, and it was magical. I was actually looking out my window most of the time as I was listening to the song and just watching the snow falling. It's falling so beautifully. It's so soft and tender. It's just falling so gracefully down onto the ground. And it was a very magical experience. The earth, like the heart, slopes in its seat, and like that it travels along an elliptical path drawn into the darkness. An unpolished pearl and sky black palm of hand, flickering sun flame, and then you remember that you yourself, You are a light bearer, receiving radiance from others, flickering sun flame, unpolished earth in palm of hand. Now, obviously, what I think of is the winter solstice, the summer solstice, the changing of seasons, the shifting of light to dark, and the days get shorter, the nights get longer, and then the nights get shorter and the days get longer. The sun and the moon. Initially, I thought the song was just about the sun in general. I think that's all I wanted to say on the song. It was a great way to almost wrap up the album. It was very peaceful and it just made me feel good. Anyway, so we are gonna move on to track number 11. Now, this is Hollow once again, but it is the original extended version, which I don't think I'll listen to on camera for you guys. I think I'm gonna briefly listen to it, and if I feel like it's not worth it to show you guys me listening to the song, then I'm just gonna edit it out of this video. So it's essentially the same song, but extended. So let's move on to track number 12. Now, this is Dark Matter once again, but this is with choir and organ. And I did listen to it briefly. I feel like it's not worth it for me to show you guys what I thought of it. It's essentially the same song. So we have come to the end of the album, track number 13, Natura. Okay, that was track number 13, Natura, and this was very interesting. Just like the entire album. I mean, it's Bjork. I don't really know what to make of it. I don't understand what she's singing about. It's in another language. Now, when I read the title of the track, Natura, I thought of nature. So I'm assuming this track is about the environment or the world and the oceans and the forests or something, just nature in general. It says here that the track was released as a single promoting the protection of the Icelandic environment. All proceeds from the single were donated to the Natura Foundation, the environmental preservation campaign after which the song is named. Okay. Definitely keeps in with the theme of the rest of the album. I found it was an interesting way to wrap up the album, being the last track on the album, and I liked it. So that was the entirety of Biophilia by Björk, and this album really connected with me. I love the concept of the entire album. It's a very philosophical album. She's singing about the universe and creation and the environment and obviously relationships as well. But it's more so focused on just the world and the forests and the ocean and the cosmos and the stars and the moon and nature, Mother Nature, and all that. I also really enjoyed the production, the harp and the organ. Obviously, it was also very electronic, and I just loved what she did with the production on this album. And once again, this is a very unique sounding Björk album. It's unlike anything she's really ever put out before. I do prefer this album over her prior album, Volta, which I did like Volta. It's just not one of my favorite Björk albums. I definitely prefer this album over Volta. This is probably one of my favorite Björk albums when it comes to the concept and what she's singing about. This would definitely be a Björk album I would listen to again. It was also quite therapeutic. It was a very pretty album as well. And I also want to go back to her Vespertine album for a second, because that album was a beautiful album. It was so pretty to listen to, and this album as well, Biophilia, was quite pretty. It was also strange and dark at times, I won't lie. And obviously emotional for me during parts, especially tracks 7 and even 8, Virus and Sacrifice. Can I also say that the album artwork for Biophilia is one of my favorite Björk album covers? It's so beautiful. I love her outfit. I was kind of inspired by her outfit to wear this shirt right here. It's just beautiful to look at. Now, this album was a big deal when it came to promotion because this album had its own app. The Biophilia app consisted of a series of 10 separate apps, one for each song on the album, and all were included in a mother app, which contained a menu made up of a 3-dimensional constellation, which the user can shift, zoom, and orbit by swiping their fingers to open the apps. That sounds really cool. So what did you guys think of the album? What are your impressions? Maybe you don't like this album as much as me. Tell me why. Maybe this is your favorite Björk album. Again, tell me why. I'm definitely gonna have to listen to the album a couple more times, but as it stands right now, Biophilia is probably one of my favorite Björk albums. So in my next Björk video, we'll be moving on to her 2015 album, her 8th album called Valkyria. So look out for that video, and thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, and you can message me, you can say, hey, how are you? So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.